It has never been easier to make 5 to 10k a month from reselling. I mean, it's an absolute joke at the moment. And in this video, I'm going to give you a complete guide on how you can get started. I'm going to tell you absolutely everything you need to know. My name's Jack, also known as Culture Force on the internet. I cover streetwear and fashion. However, I also own Kicks Force. Kicks Force is a resale business where we mostly sell pre-owned streetwear, fashion, some sneakers, and we sell thousands of units every single year. So why reselling? Why does it work? Why is it so trendy at the moment? Why does everyone want to get into it? Well, the honest answer is because it's pretty easy at the moment. You can make some serious money from it, but the ratio of work to the amount of money you make and the flexibility you get with it, it's a million times better than working a normal 9-to-5 office job, in my opinion anyway. Now, I've broken this whole guide into numerous steps and a few bits in between as well. So firstly, starting off with buying. Where do I start? What items do I buy? What should I start buying, etc. Always get DM'd that literally every single day. The answer I always give to someone is, do you want to start with an item of clothing or sneakers or whatever it is that you genuinely love? You want it to be a passion project to start with, because having a passion project means it's so much easier for you to scale in the long term, because it's going to take a lot of hours, people. Now, you obviously need to be sensible. Like, you want to focus on trending stuff. So for example, Kicks Force sells a lot of Supreme, Palace, Cortez, used shoes as well, sneakers, Dunks, Jordans. Now, if you're really starting off, like have literally zero idea about streetwear or fashion or reselling, that's absolutely fine. But before you do anything, you need to go onto marketplaces. eBay is really good at this. Search up some items that you might potentially want to sell and just look how much they've sold for. You can actually filter and click sold for. And then once you've done that, you can just understand a little bit more about market prices, how much things are worth, how much things are selling for. You also just want to browse social media and see what people want. Because although you do want to sell stuff that you want to sell, that's things you believe in and you have a genuine interest in, it's also important to sell what the people want, your potential customers want. So don't go too niche into what you like, but just pick a vague subject, stick with it and learn it. That's what I would say. If you can, focus on seasonal products. So in the winter, more winter clothes, autumn garments. Now, a little bit of background into buying. Where do you actually get stock? What platforms? How do you source it? How do you get it? Well, outlet reselling, very, very popular at the moment. If you have a local outlet store, get down there, start getting some bargains. Use the eBay method. Search up the item that's on discount, see how much you can get for it on eBay or somewhere like that. It's quite a quick way of turning a profit, and it's pretty easy as well. Online marketplaces is probably where I would start if I was trying to get into reselling right now in 2024. Vinted, Depop, eBay, even Facebook groups as well. Vinted right now is a cheat code, man. There's so many people selling cheap stuff and cheap items under market. All you need to do is just browse the app, and then eventually your feed is kind of like TikTok or like YouTube Shorts, where your FYP, your For You page, becomes filled with stuff you want to see. So Vinted kind of has an algorithm and it learns what you want to see. And if you're constantly looking at cheap under market stuff like Supreme t-shirts in the £20 range, for example, or Ralph Lauren knits in the £10 range, it's going to keep showing you stuff like that. So eventually, Vinted's really easy. You can pick up 5 to 10 bits a day on Vinted, probably more. I always just tend to search in a brand or an item of clothing I particularly like. Make sure to search by newly listed so you see it first and stuff like that. The same goes for Depop and Facebook Marketplace, except Vinted has way more items on it right now because there's something called 0% seller fee. So when you're selling an item on there, there's no fees whatsoever. On to the question that is a bit of a controversial one. I get asked all the time about this. Do you need a supplier? What is your supplier? How do I find a supplier? Having a supplier is great. It can be, if you find the right one, it's amazing. However, you can lose a lot of money trying to find the right one, because the only way of finding out if a supplier is any good is spending money on their stock and checking it out. But for now, honestly, if you're getting started, I wouldn't even look at suppliers, man. I would avoid it unless you happen to know someone who has a really good supplier and you know him really well and trust them. Maybe try them. But honestly, yeah, I would pass for now. The best way of finding a supplier is honestly word of mouth. It's genuinely word of mouth, and that comes into the networking part of the conversation. It's really important to network in this niche. But honestly, if you're starting out, I wouldn't look into a supplier. Genuinely, just forget about it until you really start knowing your stuff. Step number 2, selling. Now, I'm aware I've waffled on a little bit, so I'm gonna rush through this one, but this one's pretty self-explanatory and I've got some killer information here, so listen up. Where do you sell? You wanna sell everywhere. This is a question I get all the time, and the answer is cross-list to absolutely every platform you physically can. Vinted, eBay, Facebook, your own Shopify store if you need. You don't need one if you've just started, but if you've got a bit of a platform, a few thousand followers, get a Shopify store. List everywhere, man. I don't understand why people wouldn't list on all platforms. It's called cross-listing. You want to list across the board because it gets the most eyes on your product. It's that simple. List everywhere physically possible. Vinted, again, probably the best place to go at the moment because it's so popular. Now, when it comes to selling, it's really, really important you get good pictures. High quality pictures are absolutely everything, because if you think about it, that is the first and only thing that the buyer sees when they're scrolling through, and it's the only thing that separates you from everyone else selling that particular item. Get a nice background, take a few nice pictures, get a good phone, get a studio light if you need to, or if you want to be really fancy, get a white background, lay it down, get a bit more of a studio set up. You can even Photoshop the background using apps like Photo Room or just Photoshop in general. Click a couple of buttons and boom, you're a really high quality stock image that separates you from everyone else. I can't actually express how important it is to have pretty looking pictures because your item is only as good as the picture you take. If you have a really nice t-shirt that you're selling for a good price, no one's gonna buy it if the picture is shit and grainy and all that kind of stuff. So just get good pics, people. Really fucking important. Next up, we have writing descriptions. These are also very important. But to be honest, I wouldn't go crazy. I wouldn't spam. I would simply be clear and honest. Mention the brand, mention that it's 100% authentic. And you wanna create a bit of urgency. So use phrases like limited edition, rare finds, not available anymore, stuff like that. Pricing your items, this goes back to the buying stage really. You wanna make a healthy margin, but not too crazy. Again, go onto Vinted, eBay, whatever. Find out what competitors and other people are selling those items at. Compare condition, compare quality, compare print cracking, compare everything, and just make a fair price off the back of that, and then you're winning really. Give your customers a good experience with a good price and make a bit of money yourself. Tip number 3 in selling is customer service and just being a good person. It's really simple. People want to buy from people they like. So if you're making content, be relatable, be nice, be polite in replies, always be super helpful, be kind, and ship the item as soon as possible because people love that. Try and get as many reviews as you can on your platform. Just be a good person in general. Like, you're not even like about sales here. Just be nice on social media and when trying to sell shit. If you want to find insane deals on streetwear and sneakers to resell, well, today's video sponsor is Kai Kick's Apprentice, the ultimate reselling Discord with an exclusive Vinted monitor. Now, I used this Vinted monitor for 1 week and I found some crazy steals. We're talking a Bape t-shirt for £16, a Supreme cap for £9, an Arc'teryx jacket for £82, and much, much more, all for really cheap prices. So me and people using the monitor are able to flip the items on for profit. Now, how it works is that you can customize the monitor to track any items you want, any brand, any price point, and as soon as an item in that category is listed, you will get notified to your phone so you can go and buy it. The Vinted monitor is £15 a month, but you can also buy a fuller package that gives you access to the Kai Kick's reselling community with 24/7 support for a little bit more. So if you want to get into reselling, sign up today using the link in my bio and use code CULTURE for 20% off. Step number 3, scaling your reselling business. So you've been reselling for a little while, you're kind of going at a decent rate, you're making a few £100 per month, maybe even a couple grand. It's really important you start seeing trends in your business, start tracking your sales properly, use inventory management, keep detailed records of expenses, fees. You really, really need to be on it. Just figure out a system that works. If it's an accounting software, if you get an accountant, or if you just have your own spreadsheet, just find out a system that works for you and keep track of absolutely everything. Because this is the part of business, especially reselling, that people forget about. And then it puts you in a bit of trouble because you're kind of not on top of where you should be. You also want to build a bit of a brand. Think logos, colors, get some professional branding done. You can do it yourself on Canva, Photoshop, stuff like that. It's really easy. Think of a funky name. You need to be selling under a name. You need to be selling under a bit of a business. Step number 4, sustaining long-term success. Tip number 1 in step number 4, it's kind of confusing. You want to reinvest your profits. Don't go crazy. Don't sell one item and start splashing it out at the club. Buy a pair of Travis Scotts. Just keep reinvesting it, man. It's recycling, recycling, recycling. For transparency, Kicks Force has sold in the last few months thousands and thousands of items and I haven't taken a penny out. It's also really important to keep learning and adapting and understanding that you're not always the best. It's really difficult with reselling because you can do really well 1 month, but the next month can be really, really shitty. So you need to have a good mindset. You also want to avoid any type of burnout. Now, burnout is when you basically do too much and you feel shit afterwards. Like, you just don't give yourself enough breaks. So it's really important to have kind of a work-life balance. What I mean by is focus on yourself every so often. Go to the gym, stay focused, go running, get exercise in. Reselling seems to be easy, but it's not. You spend an insane amount of time doing stuff and it's going to take up most of your life. And finally, to conclude the complete guide of getting into reselling and trying to make £5,000 a month reselling or $5,000, I'll recap a few key points. Start off with brands you genuinely have an interest in. It's a passion project, people. So start with stuff you have a genuine interest in. I can't stress how valuable that is. eBay is your best friend. Constantly look for market value stuff on eBay. I would avoid suppliers if you're just getting started. Use Vinted right now. As I'm making this video, it's a complete joke. Like, it's crazy how much money people are making. So get on Vinted and just sell, man. It doesn't matter if you're making £5, £2 profit initially. If you're making a little bit of profit margin, you're learning, man. It takes a long time to understand this. It's not about making £5 grand a month off the bat. Take those good pictures, get decent stock in, enjoy yourself, and just fucking try, man. And you will genuinely get somewhere. Like, I promise you that. I hope that helps. That is my complete guide of everything I've learned from reselling and all this kind of weird stuff I've done over the years. Like, subscribe if you want to see more reselling content. I will be in the comments of this video all the time, so ask some questions below. Head over to my Instagram. DMs are always open for any advice or help you may need. Like, subscribe, people, and I will see you in the next one.